Welcome back, lovely people, to another Let's Play and Chill. We will continue doing this game and figuring out where the heck I'm supposed to be going. What the hell's a chicken mushroom? So I need to find elemental rods now? Okay.
Scattered to the wind, unfortunately. A side effect of Wanda's experiments here.
Let me guess.
That's right. I want you to find the missing rods and return them here. Hopefully, as I decipher Wanda's journal.
Well, anyways, back to the history that y'all are anticipating and waiting for. I'm going to talk about William McKinley Jr., the 26th president. I had to think about that. Wait, 25th president, I believe, actually. My brain's not working correctly. The 25th president of the United States of America from Ohio. His presidency is very important for numerous different reasons. One that ushered in a very unique time in American history. He's also the president at the turn of the century. I like him, and I also dislike him in a lot of different ways. The more I read about him, at least on a personal level, he's probably one of the few that I would look at much more genuinely than not. At least in comparison to his predecessors, especially the last couple predecessors in particular. Again, I'm born in Ohio, an Ohio politician, and one who historically lived through and pretty much is like in full swing this entire might as well try it. Okay. I gotta go all the way back. Okay. You know what? Let's go to bed. I want to continue this main story. I do find him very interesting, though, because to me, when I look at William McKinley, I see this guy who's now at this point, he's born post Andrew Jackson as president. Can I pet the girl? Yeah. And he's this new generation of future Americans and politicians who are, at this point, you know, almost half a century to damn near a full century away from the Revolutionary War. And, you know, he's living in Ohio. I think he's born around the 1840s at some point.
After all these years, it's good to see your face again.
Wish I could say the same. Now enough of this deception. Reveal your true form.
Well, this is my true form. The way I was when you were just as sweet.
And I just think of him as this new generation of American. Like, you have the American Revolutionary Americans, the Founding Father Americans, and you have, I say, Jacksonian Americans, and then you have this contingent of Americans that are going to be the Civil War Americans, and I think he's kind of like clearly the youth in this group that's going to be within the Civil War, because he's going to be one of the youngest people fighting in the war during this particular point in time that becomes president. In particular, I think he's like 20 when he ends up fighting in the war, or like, 18, 19, and he's going to be leading this newer generation of young people who grew up post Civil War, and then the Gilded Age period, turn of the century period.
Is that really her?
Gonna upgrade my room. What? I don't really care. Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, so now I'm supposed to talk to a bunch of people, apparently.
There you are, Hunter. The intel cache we recovered from Hydra's gunship might seem sophisticated.
But he himself is a very interesting historical figure too, because he's one that a lot of books are written about. He, for those of you who actually don't know, is the third president in the history of this country to be assassinated. His death leads to what eventually will become the future of Teddy Roosevelt as the president of the United States of America. William McKinley, just the more I read about him, the more I get a better picture and feel and view of who he is as an individual and person. Aside from biographical takes, it just seems like he was a good man, for all intents and purposes, and one who had an actual real conscience and actual real issues that when he was president he did really have to deal with, and actually put quite a bit of thought into it as a particular leader and an individual. Brilliant mind too in a lot of ways, and I think he's one of these people who, because he's so good, because he's so prominent, gets elevated to positions that most people normally wouldn't without some political machinations. And I think this in part too also leads him to getting positions he wouldn't normally get, because I think a lot of people see him as a little bit like a chess piece kind of individual, because he's so honest, good-natured, and they're able to take advantage of him, or let's say things happen that lead to him getting into specific positions where he's kind of forced to make a tough choice, even though it's probably not his fault position. Spanish-American War being one of them, by the way.
Something on your mind? Until we speak again.
I should have waited for that. Should have.
What's the latest intel? Beginning decryption sequence. I'm sure Tony won't mind if I install XCOM on Central. It's for tactical research. Now that we've decrypted the intel, let's put what we've learned to good use. Check out the available hero ops listed on Central. I think I can handle that. Got some ops ready for you. These are the current priorities.
No idea what I'm doing.
We've got a situation rapidly developing. I'll be in contact soon.
Fascinating. Oh, translucency spell must be pink.
That gloss. I don't even know what that gloss does. Oh, I think it's the currency, actually. Okay. Let's do it. Can invite him to the Haven? Ugh. I don't want to do any of that.
I guess I could show you a couple of things. Time's wasting. Later.
Okay. I really had no idea what the heck I'm doing. Research completed. Okay. Kind of just winging it here, people. It's another chest. That's something.
Oh, you are gonna love this.
Okay. Coil analysis. Let's analyze this mofo. Give me more stuff.
Take your pick, Hunter. How long did you say you were exposed to this thing? It's probably.
So close.
Hey, Hunter.
New ability to upgrade. Oh, so I had to take. Okay. Okay, I'm good with that. So wait, I can upgrade my character. I can customize him. Ugh, this game. There's way too many things to happen.
Oh, excuse me. Hunter, my second favorite zombie superhero.
Who's your first?
Tony, on 2 hours of sleep. So, what do you need?
I have questions for you.
Sure, ask away.
Tell me about the Avengers.
Sure, what about us?
Do you think your team can find common ground with the Midnight Suns?
Look, I try not to.
Okay, I'm getting way too off topic with
I'll work with anyone who
with
gets
this
the job
game
done.
so far. I gotta talk about William McKinley.
Do all the Avengers feel the same?
Born in Ohio in the early 1840s. I'm just gonna go.
Thank you,
Anytime. And hey,
I think his
if you
family
want
was
we should hang out.
I think his family's Scottish
Of course.
originally. and specifically, and he was a Methodist. Let me select the mission first. Cool, I can do general missions. Sweets. No combat items. Okay. We're just gonna go for it, people. I do remember William McKinley being incredibly destroy the Hydra devices each turn, so move quickly. Okay. I'll probably do 1 or 2 of these, just so I can increase the levels of my characters. Target is fun. What the heck?
Just focus on destroying the charges. Hydra has enough warm bodies to overwhelm you eventually.
Got it, boss.
Wind of a tomb.
Apparently our reputation isn't enough to scare off these so-called children of Lilith.
Now his family does have roots in Pennsylvania. I think his mom's side is from Pennsylvania in particular.
It sounds to me like they just missed their mom. You asked for it.
Bang. And death. Quite a few play cards here. Ah, okay. Yep, that's how I do.
Impressive.
Do have heroism now.
That's not supposed to hurt. I'll can.
Just wait until it's my turn.
Now, when he was younger, his family moved around all around Ohio. Not particularly wealthy, but they weren't poor by any stretch of the imagination. Very deeply religious family. Very, very deeply religious.
Let's proceed then.
Studied in Allegheny County, I think. Is it Allegheny County? I'm getting all my counties mixed up. But goes to school. Becomes a postboy, actually, when he's younger. Around the 1850s, when he's like 13 or 14 years old.
It's remarkable how well Hydra manages to attract new recruits despite decades of ineptitude.
and pretty much just lived his life, tried to be a good American citizen. What the hell is that?
Come get it. It's weirdos like these that give people like us.
Again, I have no idea what I'm doing. And his family's relatively, I would say, apolitical. It's not like they weren't into the politics or the political scene at that point. But for the most part, you know, grew up in Ohio, the North, abolitionist by nature. This leads to 19 bleed. Good lord.
Things are moving right along. Defeating the forces of evil and all that. This should aid me in my fight.
Holy hell. Take my axe, bro.
With a name like Strange, it's got to be magic. About time.
Now, when the Civil War does come to fruition, William McKinley, I think a couple of his family members, end up joining the Ohio Infantry as privates. They end up facing a lot of trials and tribulations during the war. What's this? Okay.
You'll have to do better than that.
Now, also, William McKinley is also one of the few that actually fights pretty much the entirety of
Watch close. The light shines on the most dutiful.
No.
That's one charge down, but you're not out of the woods yet.
Watch close.
taking a chance here. I'm basically just gonna try and destroy these before all my characters end up dying.
How many times you gonna try that?
Ooh. Iron Man down.
You want to help out here or what?
Take it, Seka. I do mean it. He is one of the few people that actually fights the entirety of the Civil War. Draw. Ends up fighting in the Shenandoah Valley and the West Virginia area, or the Virginia area.
I truly doubt they're paying you enough for what's about to happen.
Another Hydra operation. I'll never get tired of hearing that.
And that's how you do it. I do like that little thing. You can make a little comic book hero, kind of, you know, comics and whatnot. I think that's pretty cool.
Hunter, I was just looking for you. We need your
I want to join your club.
Who is we?
I'm a rebel.
The Esoteric Mystical Order, specifically the Knights of Intellect and Dimensional Spiritualism.
That is an elaborate name.
Now, obviously, he gets the accommodations. I believe William McKinley is he is the last president to actually fight in the Civil War, or in order to participate in the Civil War. Coincidentally, the youngest, and the one that actually probably did most of the fighting, or the most fighting technically, instead of actually leading men. He was a private and all that.
Lead the way.
Sure, Nico. This game just, it pulls me in, and then it just kind of pulls me out a little bit, because I'm like, really? Go emo?
So, about the spell that brought you back to life, it worked better than expected, but there are some gaps.
You are talking about my death.
Exactly. The memories of your final moments might tell us how you defeated your mother 3 centuries ago. That could give us an edge this time around.
Now, McKinley, post-Civil War, imagine you're in your very early 20s.
All you're gonna
It's
need
what,
is
65?
How would
He's
that
probably, what, 22, 23?
Doctor Strange can explain
He
better than I, but it's
continues
also
his studies,
past magic.
obviously becomes a lawyer, like most of these politicians who want to get into law.
Hunter, glad you're present for the inaugural.
He is very close with another future president at this particular point in time, Rutherford B. Hayes. When
The Abbey's local chapter
when Hayes starts his foray into politics, he's a big proponent of him getting into politics, but McKinley's like 24, 25, so they don't really take him seriously. You know how it goes. He also meets Ida, who would eventually become his wife. He ends up, I think, running for his county's prosecutor, or the state prosecutor, basically. I don't think he was like a district attorney or anything like that, but I think he worked there and ended up being a part of the state's law offices, I guess you could say. So effectively, he works for the district attorney of the place that he's working at once he does get admitted to the bar, which is about a year or two after the Civil War. He meets Ida, and they get married, they fall in love.
Time and death I shall stand. Many eyes and
They have 2 children. Unfortunately, both pass away at a very young age, which makes Ida fall into, very, very, in fairness, very deep depression, which leads him to basically taking care of her for pretty much the rest of his life.
what to expect?
I think they ended up dying of like typhoid fever or something like that, or cholera, whatever the issues were back then. And his wife was always in constant poor health too, so he's always constantly taking care of her.
Yes,
How does this ritual work?
this is the ritual. You focus on the past. Nico zaps you with her staff. Strange chants and waggles his fingers. Then you remember. Maybe.
So why are you here?
Should the zapping, chanting, and waggling go bad, I will open a portal to Limbo and push you inside before the explosion.
There is a chance I might explode.
And what I mean by when I like William McKinley, it's he really did and does care about his wife, and attends to her while being a very hardworking man who continues to rise the ranks of the social and political ladder. Although, in fairness, I think a lot of people probably took pity on him in a lot of ways because he was a doting husband and took care of his wife. So I think that helped a lot of
And don't explode.
people give him sympathies and whatnot.
Boom! A little joke. Tiny. Like your chance to explode.
And he was a very labor-intensive individual.
But the first
Will this help me remember?
I can't answer that. When I start, you'll be the one making the repairs. The rest of us are here to keep you steady.
All right.
If you're ready, we can begin.
I am ready.
Now, Hunter, tell us what you see.
I raced through the Abbey grounds. Angry. Terrified. It is too late. You are not ready. My foot slips, but I catch
It also helped too that McKinley was in a lot of ways like one of the first people who would be considered like a liberal Republican. He always sided with workers. Actually defended them in numerous cases pro bono during strikes and labor disputes. And actually ended up helping him get nominated for his congressional district. That
Whoa! We all saw that, right?
I have no words to describe it.
finally.
it's complicated because he didn't really want to run, but ultimately ends up running because of his rising prominence as a labor politician.
Not yet, but
And I understand he was making a lot of money. That's why he could do a lot of those cases pro bono. Does get elected in a very hotly disputed election, which is, I think, around the same time that Rutherford B. Hayes ends up becoming president.
oh, and we
But he basically runs for Congress, wins his seats, loses a lot of money
mystical objects.
because congressmen weren't paid that well. But you're there just to represent your constituencies. You're not there to be making millions and millions of dollars. So let's do that. That was weird. Okay. This game's strange. Let's just put it that way. I have to wait till the next day. Bull. Time to hit the hay. And not Rutherford B. Hayes. See, I want to complete this game, but I also want to make sure that... the hell is Blade at? Wait, where the hell am I? Okay. I'm a silly boy.
Hey, can I ask a favor? Thanks, Hunter.
Do 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 do.
I'm a bit out of sorts. I don't have anything to do at the moment. Am I actually having a bit of downtime?
Seems like it.
I don't know what to do with myself.
If you truly have downtime, then I suggest that you sleep. A good rest can be more powerful than the most potent elixir.
So McKinley during Congress, during his time as a congressman, which he is a congressman for quite a while, continues to get reelected.
Rest. What about you?
He is a rising figure if I've seen anything,
Full time.
you know.
Yes, well,
It's a real fire starter.
rest.
I don't know a good modern equivalency for it.
We'll have to wait for some other crisis to appear.
Yes,
Hmm.
you are right. I should cherish this time while I have it. For the moment, I will just...
I guess maybe like a. He seems like much more of like a liberal Rand Paul, if that makes any sense. Although they would have very, very different ideological perspectives that just definitely would be very different, I'll put it that way. He constantly voted against his own party in a lot of ways. A lot of people saw that as not good. 9. Sure. And in particular, I don't think he really imbued himself with his own friends and colleagues because that was 2 abilities. Ooh. Craft single powerful use items in combat. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, I can do both.
The mystic arts require concentration and focus if you...
I'm here if you need me.
I can use this. Oh, there we go. It's item bench. Agility serum. I need. Oh, this is where the attack XS.
This should be useful.
Curious. Let's try all these if we can. So it is important to pick those.
That is something.
Can I get something else? Okay. Notably, he himself was a.
What's up?
I would say he's always a protectionist. He was always looking out for the little man, which I always personally tend to like. Some people say they do, yada yada, but his voting record,
Thanks.
at the very least, seems to trend that particular way, where he's constantly voting for things that are positive for. Yep. Okay, we're good. What the hell? The yard. Okay. He constantly. See, I can upgrade abilities for. I don't have enough resources. That's the problem.
An enhanced spell. Most welcome.
I will spar with you, Blade. Ooh, I get Arcangi. Go use it to open this epic box.
Peace.
I mean, as he's continued rising, he ends up just getting put on a bunch of different committees. Really has a real big influence on certain national conventions. He's even being considered for future president. Pretty much everything you could think of. Now, I know that from my own personal perspective, I would usually probably think that him being this rising figure in politics would lead me to believe he's probably just not a good person doing all things for power, which is also a completely valid and fair point. But he's always doing things for his wife. He's always constantly being there for his wife. I just have to defeat enemies. Let's try... Sweet. Okay, let's try that. He in particular has a lot of influence and power, I think, for who ultimately ends up becoming the president. At the very least, he has such a big, powerful voice that people tend to listen.
Consider it done.
Show them what happens when you mess with the Midnight Suns.
Winds of a Tomb. Yeah, I probably should just start using my guy, because I definitely need the health. And I'm about to break.
Interesting.
Watch closely.
It seemed like, again, gaining a lot of prominence, a lot of influence. There were attempts to actually get him to become the Speaker of the House. Always stopped by what would be the Blaine side of politics, which fortunately is not very good for William McKinley. But he's in political office for quite a long time, like 15 years almost. Pretty much for most of the 1870s all the way up until the 1890s.
Nothing to worry about so far.
That looked like it hurt.
Redraw. See, now that's how you do it.
That was something.
Ghost Rider's pretty overpowered in this game, I'm not gonna lie. Understand too that when he does lose a re-election bid, which I think is around the 1890s, William McKinley only loses really because of gerrymandering, which, yes, it's a prominent thing even back then. And for him, he won it really because they've been trying to gerrymander this guy out of office, Democrats, for basically most of the decade. And God, I might actually be able to do this, people. This is not good.
I may require some assistance here. The endless search for wealth and power with just a tinge of fascism. Fragile will never change.
But they finally succeed in like the 1890s when he loses his re-election bid. In this storage case. In fairness, he only loses by like a couple thousand votes, but still not good for the young rising star and politician. Oh, I can do 3? Oh, dang it. Now, that being said, he's not out of politics when he eventually loses his congressional seat, ends up running and winning the governorship, I think by like a sizable amount. And understand back then too, I should probably noted it with all the other presidents who have become governors or who had become governors at some point. Being a governor really didn't have a lot of power and influence as much as people think it did. You're literally just the day-to-day kind of operations person, and you don't really have a lot to really do for the most part. Don't know why I just did that. Can I finagle this? Sure.
Let's do it.
Oh, did I just knock out my own guy? Oh, that's not what I wanted. I have 1 revive a game, I think, or 1 turn. Oh well. After this, I'll do the story mission after. Now, while not having a lot of power, that doesn't mean they don't have influence. I understand the distinction. Remember, the state legislatures in most of these states held a lot of the power and a lot of the influence. What do I have to do? What is this? Let me see if this works. Oh, sweet. Cool.
It's remarkable how well Hydra manages to attract new recruits despite decades of ineptitude.
Gonna break that down.
At least Hydra Green is iconic. If you're a low-rent mercenary, I mean.
Good lord. Just give me some regular attack cards, people. It's like a really weird game of chess.
Not bad. Not great, but not bad.
But McKinley was a big reason why Harrison, I think, ends up becoming president. Basically being a big swing individual in Congress, specifically helping him get elected in 1888. And a lot of people saw him as someone that could actually... He needs to be revived. Ghost Rider. I think I only have the 2.
Just what this battle requires.
Yeah, Ghost Rider, you're gonna go right here. We're gonna do the Hell Ride. I think this is gonna hit Doctor Strange, but whatever.
Relying on power to stop the forces of hell. Now that is our work.
And do you understand, like, the political machinations that are going on around this particular point in time? You just lash you in there. Almost got you. I can do another Hell Ride? Hell yeah. Now let's not mess this up, people. Yeah, it's overkill. As governor, he basically just governs accordingly. He's dealing with the fallout of the federal government issues, the Panic of 1893. So I'm really all over the place with William McKinley. I'm trying to get my facts straight. It's been a while since I read about him. But he's a very prominent figure within politics still, and is a big reason why a lot of Republicans start winning back seats. He's really the big full force that gets Republicans the support that they ultimately needed. I think that's it. Okay. Let's go to bed. And then we're probably just going to end this part here and then come back with another story mission. Oh, what's happening now? Oh. It's just a rainy day. Okay. Well, thank you guys. God bless. Hope you guys like and enjoy. We'll continue on with the election of 1896 when we come back with William McKinley. God bless. Hope you all enjoy.